as I'm listening to everybody's stories, more and more stories are coming to mind. I probably could be here for hours. But I won't. I love my dad so much, what an important influence he's been in my life. But I promise, I'm only taking a few minutes. What is a father? A man who guides, who cares, who supports, who is always there to listen, and so much more. We called him Dad. Others called him Howard, Howie, and some even called him brother. It always confused me as a little kid why my father's mother called him brother. But she did. I was told that my dad's younger sister, Ellen, couldn't say Howard, so she called him brother, and it stuck. Of course, when I spoke to her last week, she didn't remember that part. She just said she always called him brother, but she didn't know why. Dad started out in a family of women. For those of you who don't know, his father died when he was 36, and Dad was only 9. From that point on, he was surrounded by girls. Grandma, Aunt Biddy, his 2 sisters, Barbara and Ellen, Anna, their faithful maid who never left. Then Dad grew up to have 3 daughters, me, Fran, and Amy. I know it's not grammatically correct, but that's age order. When Dad met Audrey over 40 years ago, he finally got to live with some guys. And to buy that train set that he always wanted to buy for me. John, I can't thank you enough for finally giving him the joy of buying that train set and setting it up. Thank you for completing the circle for Dad, Jim, Alan, John, and Bob in our memory. A blended family is never easy, but Dad and Audrey did an excellent job of making us all their kids. Thank you. I was too young to remember when Dad drove a taxi, but he loved those nights. He was building a business, making wooden parts for pole lamps and room dividers. Do you remember those things? They were very short-lived. So by day he worked in his factory, and by night he paid the bills by driving the streets of Brooklyn and Manhattan. After a few years, our mom went back to work, and Dad, who was never traditional, even in the 1950s, was in charge every night. Fran was just a baby, and I went to Dad's factory every afternoon. We helped him. I don't know what we were doing. Then we came home, and he made us dinner. One of his favorite dinners was Frankfurter pie. Sliced hot dogs with mashed potatoes. He also liked to make us fried bologna sandwiches, and Dad was always on burnt toast. We moved to New Jersey, where Dad's factory grew, but a fire destroyed everything, and he wasn't able to build successfully. That led to our move to California. Again, not too traditional. 3 children, no jobs, but a dream. It all worked out really well. We became California girls, through and through. Life took a turn, and Dad was back on the East Coast. He met Audrey, and as they say, the rest is history. Dad was no longer a factory manager, but an adventurer who moved again. Started over in South Dakota. Now he was a writer, a museum director, a tour leader, an expert on the life of Goodson Boardman, and so much more. Dad never retired. Just last year he told me, I'm not working at this time, but I'm not retired. And he was still writing books a very short time ago. So far I have introduced you to his life, but who was Dad? He was our rock. There's no topic you couldn't talk to him about. He was always giving, kind, doing what he could to make everyone's life better. Dad and I spent many nights having dinner, just the 2 of us. It's one of my favorite parts of my teenage years. He stood by his beliefs, but listened to other points of view. One of my favorite stories occurred during one of those dinners when I was about 16. The Hair play had just come to Los Angeles, and we were talking, and Dad said, oh, it was awful. Well, in New York it was pretty awful, but in LA it was a lot tamer. So my dad took me and my friend to see the play. I think he liked it a lot more than I did. Just a little note, a few years ago, the play Hair was in a local theater, so my husband and I went. It was awful. It was so dated, so out of, but Dad liked it, he listened, and he always did what he thought was best for all of us. Howard was not just Dad, but Papa, Grandpa, and now Big Pop. Father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. He has given so many of us his guidance and wisdom over the years. I could talk for hours, and all the parts of my life that Dad influenced in so many positive ways. I would not be the wife, the mother, the mother-in-law, or grandmother that I am today without Dad's guidance. Thank you for everything. In closing, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Audrey. Love is special, and Dad and Audrey taught us all about how to be a couple. In his later years, it was Audrey who made Dad's life the best it could be. She's a special person. We have a lot to learn from her as well. Thank you. We love you.